Today, June 8th, is recognized as World Oceans Day, and the thrust of this year's commemoration seeks to focus on the task before governments and policymakers worldwide as efforts intensify towards taking decisive actions in the battle against overfishing. Sustainable fishing has emerged as a key solution, holding the potential to unleash an astounding 16 million tons of seafood annually across the globe. Well, joining us now to have a chat from Arise News Studios in London is environmentalist Loren Hiller. Good to have you, Loren. Thank you for joining us on Newsday.
Thanks so much for having me, and happy World Ocean Day.
Happy World Ocean Day to you too. Well, overfishing is a global battle. Could you just explain to us exactly what the dangers are and exactly how we even got here?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Overfishing is a global challenge, and latest figures have showed that we are a third of the world's fish stocks are fished beyond sustainable levels, and that continues to grow. When you compare it to 10% in 1970, that is quite concerning. We know that the oceans are vitally important to us. They regulate our climate, they provide us with oxygen, home to a wide variety of life, and also provide income for those that rely on it for their livelihoods for millions around the world. And there's many factors that are contributing to overfishing. Climate change is one of them, not knowing how much fish there is in the ocean and perhaps catching more than we should. So it's vitally important that we safeguard this very important marine resource. And like you said, if we fish sustainably, we can be more productive in the long term and we can catch more. And that's one of our messages today on World Ocean Day, that when we take care of the ocean takes care of us.
Well, very well said. But I would like you to tell us more about sustainable fishing. How do we practice sustainable fishing, especially, in some areas that are prone to environmental pollution, say, for instance, the Niger Delta region in Nigeria?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So we would define sustainable fishing as ensuring there are lots of fish in the ocean, protecting habitats and those species that are threatened. And by doing so, you're safeguarding the marine environment for those that depend on it for their livelihood. And we've seen many fisheries around the world make great improvements to demonstrate their commitment to sustainability. Namibian hake is a prime example of that has recovered and replenished its stocks. And in fact, they are double what they once were. It is the second fishery in Africa to be certified, the first in its country, and the government and the industry, their main aim really was to ensure long-term viability of the economy, but also give back to the people and the ocean, and they've done exactly that. And it's really great to see that fisheries that perhaps were once in a difficult position are now operating sustainably and selling their sustainable catch worldwide.
And what can governments and policymakers worldwide do in order to stem the tide of this overfishing?
So policymakers and government play a very important role in safeguarding our oceans. We know that millions of people rely around the world on protein, fish as their main source of protein. We are in a growing population, estimated to reach about 10 billion by 2050. And those people rely on fish as their main source of protein for nutrients, the minerals, the vitamins, all really beneficial to our health and development. But also, fishing and seafood is a low carbon source of protein, particularly when you compare it to land-based solutions. You don't need as much fresh water, as much fertilizer. So in that sense, it really is a win-win when it's done sustainably. And we're always advocating for government and policy to put sustainable fisheries management at the heart of their policy development, so that not only can we have fish for future generations, but those that rely on fishing for their income and their livelihoods, that can be safeguarded as well.
Now, Loren, for some of our viewers, we're dealing with economic problems, health challenges, political instability, and so many other problems that I'm sure you're also aware of. They'll be wondering if ocean governance is what we should be focusing on right now. Is it really a priority at this moment?
Well, I personally think it's a huge priority. Like I said, we rely on fishing and aquaculture in so many different ways for our protein source and for our livelihoods as well. And it really is simple. Today on World Oceans Day, we're asking people to commit to only eating sustainable fish and seafood. And you can do so by choosing the blue MSC Eco label when you perhaps go to the supermarket or when you eat out. What we always say is that you can have fish that's good for you and the ocean too. And there are so many different types of fish and seafood available that is also sustainable, and South African hake, Namibian hake is a prime example of that. And in fact, we're actually eating more of it in the UK than ever before.
All right. Well, what are the long-term solutions for this issue? Is it just sustainable fishing? And also, what impact has climate change had on the lives of the fish and of the fishermen who are making a living off of this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Obviously, sustainable fishing is a key part of this, but we also want fisheries to be aware of what impact they're having on the surrounding environment, what impact are they having on the ecosystems, but also how well managed are they. We know that coastal states sometimes can't agree to catch fish in line with scientific advice, and in fact, sometimes we're catching more than we actually should. And climate change is one thing that we're extremely concerned about here at the MSC. Fish stocks are moving. They don't follow political borders. They go where they want to. And that's having a huge impact on fisheries globally. We know that coastal communities and fishing villages are particularly vulnerable to shocks from food security and things like climate change as well. So it's vitally important that we put sustainable fisheries management at the heart of our policy development, and we safeguard the ocean so we can all enjoy fish and seafood for the future.
So I'd like us to look at the theme, of today's celebration. Planet, ocean, tides are changing. How significant is that?
Sorry, you just cut out a little bit. Could you repeat that question?
I was talking about the theme. The theme for today, the celebration today, World Ocean Day, is Planet, Ocean, Tides are Changing. What is the significance of that theme?
It's really significant. This is the UN's 15th edition of World Oceans Day, and they've built upon it year on year. And what we're trying to do is really connect people to the oceans. I think many people don't know where their fish or seafood comes from. They don't know how much effort fisheries and fishermen and women put in to keep fish on our plate and fish in our sea. So that theme is really important because we are all connected into the ocean one way or another, even if we don't know it. So eating sustainable seafood, making the right choices, you can feel empowered as a consumer that you're doing your bit for the ocean and eating sustainable fish and seafood.
How lucky for the pescatarians who would be watching today and enjoying. Loren, with today being Oceans Day, are there any other things that we should be keeping in mind in terms of keeping the environment and preserving it?
Yeah, there are so many things that you can be doing to help protect our oceans. Obviously, number one, choosing sustainable fish and seafood, perhaps with a blue MSC Eco label. You can perhaps reduce your plastic consumption, reduce, reuse, recycle. That obviously has a negative impact on the environment sometimes. And perhaps if you've got some spare time, maybe even get down to the beach, do a beach clean and collect some plastic to help protect our marine environment. There are so many things that we can all do, and everyone can play a small role in helping our oceans.
Well, finally, Loren, and this is on a lighter note anyway, one of the activities lined up for today is to cook certified sustainable seafood. So I'm wondering, which one will you be cooking?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm actually more of a seafood type of person, so I prefer things like scallops and mussels. So tonight, I think I'm going to have some sustainably sourced scallops. I might do it with a bit of crispy bacon, and if I'm feeling extra fancy, some pea puree as well. But I'm going to try and be a little bit of a chef tonight, and hopefully it turns out well, and hopefully it's delicious as well.
Listen, Loren, we're a little bit jealous here, but we hope you enjoy your food, and we will keep World Ocean Day in mind. Thank you so much for joining us and for having this discussion with us on Newsday.